This has the same pattern as the earlier scripts. High-emotion cinematic storytelling mixed with likely invented details around Alex Eala and the 2026 French Open narrative. A few major credibility flags in this one. Iva Jovic described as 17th seed in Roland Garros' second round at age 18, possible in theory but needs verification. Claims of a medical timeout tied to a Rome ankle injury and a dramatic collapse on clay would be widely documented if true. Cristiano Ronaldo supposedly sitting in the royal box watching Eala, very specific and highly reportable if accurate. A camera catching a nurse named Grace, whose emotional reaction becomes a viral global story, reads like documentary scripting unless sourced. Dialogue like, "That's our Alex. That's our fighter," and behind-the-scenes emotional framing are classic retention writing devices for YouTube. What does work here from a content perspective? The hook is strong. Cameras caught something no one noticed. The emotional centerpiece, the crying fan/diaspora connection, is highly clickable. The pacing is designed for 8 to 12-minute retention with cliffhangers every paragraph. What hurts credibility? Too many precise emotional details with no sourcing. Specific celebrity placement, Ronaldo. Broad claims like, "The internet hasn't stopped talking," without proof. Presenting dramatized scenes as fact. If this is for your YouTube channel, I'd recommend reframing it like this to keep the viral feel without sounding fake, instead of, "The WTA is still trying to explain." Use, "Fans online couldn't stop talking about what the cameras captured." Instead of, "The stadium held its breath." Use, "For a moment, Chatrier went unusually quiet." Instead of, "Cristiano Ronaldo was leaning forward." Use only if verified. Otherwise, remove it. A stronger, more believable title for retention could be, "Caught on camera." Face screaming in fear, the emotional Alex Eala moment Roland Garros fans can't stop talking about. Or, Alex Eala's painful Roland Garros moment had the entire stadium frozen crying face tennis. This keeps the emotional pull while sounding more credible to viewers who fact-check. Jovic served. Eala returned. A rally began. 10 shots, 12, 14. The crowd counted each exchange, their voices rising with every stroke. The Philippine flags, which had been still during the medical timeout, began to wave again, hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence. Eala moved. She slid into a backhand, recovered, sprinted to the net, retreated to the baseline. Her ankle held. Her focus never wavered. At the 15th shot, Jovic made a mistake. Her forehand sailed long. The stadium erupted. 15-love. Eala pumped her fist, not at Jovic, not at the umpire, but at the stands, at the flags, at Grace, the nurse who had saved for months to be here, at her mother who had never stopped believing. The next point was even longer, 22 shots. Eala moved Jovic side to side, opened up the court, and waited for the opportunity to strike. When it came, a short ball from the American's racket, Eala stepped in and ripped a forehand down the line. The ball landed flush on the baseline. Jovic could only watch. 30-love. The crowd was on its feet. The chants of Laban Alex grew louder, more insistent. The stadium, which had been holding its breath, was now a cauldron of noise. Eala looked at her box. Her coaches nodded. Her mother pressed her hands together in prayer. Grace, the nurse, was crying again, but this time the tears were different. Jovic served. Eala returned. The rally lasted 8 shots, short, brutal, decisive. Eala's forehand found the corner, and Jovic's backhand found the net. 40-love, 3 break points. The stadium was shaking. The flags were waving. The chants were deafening. Eala looked at the royal box, where Cristiano Ronaldo was leaning forward, his hands clasped, his expression unreadable. She looked at the stands, where thousands of Filipinos had traveled across continents to witness this moment. She looked at her ankle, which was still throbbing, still wrapped, still a reminder of how close she had come to quitting. She took a deep breath. Jovic served. The ball landed in the service box. Eala returned deep, forcing Jovic to retreat. The American's next shot was weak, a lob that floated high in the air. Eala tracked it. She positioned herself under it. She swung. The ball screamed over the net, dipping at the last moment, landing flush on the baseline. Jovic lunged, got a racket on it, but could only deflect it into the net.
Break.
The stadium exploded. Eala did not fall to her knees. She did not raise her racket. She simply walked to her chair, sat down, and looked at her mother. Rizza was crying. Grace was crying. Thousands of fans were crying. But Alex Eala was not crying. She was smiling. The second set slipped away. Jovic fought back, forcing a tiebreak. The stadium held its breath. The flags waved. The chants echoed. And Alex Eala, standing on the red clay of Court Philippe Chatrier, prepared for the most important points of her life. Let me take you inside the final moments of that unforgettable match. Because what happened in the tiebreak would be remembered long after the scoreboard was forgotten. The score was 5-5 in the tiebreak. Jovic had saved 2 match points. The American, younger but no less determined, refused to surrender. Every time Eala got close to victory, Jovic found a way to extend the match. The tension was suffocating. The crowd was on its feet. Eala served. The ball screamed down the center line. Jovic's return floated long. 6-5, match point again. The stadium rose to its feet. The flags waved in synchronized waves. The chants of Laban Alex reached a fever pitch. Eala walked to the baseline. She bounced the ball once, twice, 3 times. She looked at the stands where her mother Rizza was wiping tears from her eyes. She looked at the royal box where Cristiano Ronaldo was leaning forward, his hands clasped. She looked at Grace, the nurse from Manila, who was clutching her Philippine flag like a lifeline. She tossed the ball into the Parisian sky. The serve landed wide. Not an ace, but close. Jovic's return was weak, landing in the middle of the court. Ella stepped in and crushed a forehand into the open space. Jovic didn't move. She didn't need to. The ball was gone. Game, set, match. Alex Eala. The stadium exploded. Ella dropped her racket and covered her face with both hands. Her shoulders shook. The tears that she had held back through the injury scare, through the pain, through the weight of 40,000 fans in the eyes of the world, finally fell. Her mother rushed onto the court. Her coaches followed. The Philippine flags waved in every section. The chants of Laban Alex echoed through Roland Garros, refusing to fade. And in the front row, Cristiano Ronaldo rose to his feet and applauded. The cameras captured every frame. The moment that would be replayed millions of times. The victory that meant more than the scoreboard. Not because of the ranking points, not because of the prize money, because of what it represented. Alex Eala had not just won a tennis match. She had proven that the Eala effect was not about winning. It was about fighting, about refusing to quit, about making 40,000 people believe that anything was possible. Later that night, Eala sat in her hotel room. The ice pack wrapped around her ankle, her phone buzzing with messages from around the world. The hashtag Eala Fights trended globally. The footage of her standing up after the injury scare had been viewed over 80 million times. Her mother knocked on the door and entered. "You did it, Anik."
We did it, Mama.
"We did it together." The French Open would continue. There were more matches to play, more battles to fight, but the moment that would be remembered from the 2026 tournament was not the final, not the trophy ceremony, not the crowning of a champion. It was the moment Alex Eala fell to the clay and got back up. The question that remains is simpler than it seems. When the next generation of Filipino athletes steps onto the world stage, inspired by the flags they saw in Paris, by the chants they heard from the stands, by the woman who refused to quit, will they remember Alex Eala's victories, or will they remember the fight that made her unstoppable? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Court Legacy for more stories that go beyond the scoreline. Alex Eala advanced to the third round of the French Open after a grueling 7-5, 7-6-5 victory over number 17 seed Eva Javovic. During the second set, Eala suffered an ankle scare that required a medical timeout, leaving the stadium in stunned silence. But the 20-year-old Filipina refused to quit, returning to the baseline and winning the match in a tiebreak. The cameras captured an unexpected moment. A Filipina nurse named Grace, who had saved for months to attend the match, crying in the stands. Her tears of fear became tears of pride when Eala stood up. The footage has been viewed over 80 million times. Grace later said, "That's our Alex. That's our fighter." Eala's victory sets up a third-round showdown with a higher-ranked opponent. Her ranking is projected to rise to number 32. The moment she stood up from the clay has become the defining image of the French Open. Alex Eala advanced to the third round of the French Open after a grueling 7-5, 7-6-5 victory over number 17 seed Eva Javovic. During the second set, Eala suffered an ankle scare that required a medical timeout, leaving the stadium in stunned silence. But the 20-year-old Filipina refused to quit, returning to the baseline and winning the match in a tiebreak. The cameras kept to this version is stronger for retention, but it still reads like a high-drama scripted sports documentary rather than verified reporting. Here's the breakdown for your YouTube-style storytelling. What works? High retention. White heavy checkmark, excellent escalation, injury scare, emotional fan, comeback, tiebreak, victory. That structure keeps viewers watching. White heavy checkmark, strong emotional anchor. Grace the Nurse is a smart emotional device because it personalizes the diaspora story. White heavy checkmark, good crowd storytelling, the waving flags, chants, medical timeout, silence to eruption pacing all create tension. White heavy checkmark, powerful visual moments. She looked at her mother. She looked at the wrapped ankle. She tossed the ball into the Parisian sky. Those are cinematic and thumbnail friendly. What hurts credibility? Several details still feel overwritten or possibly invented. 1. Crowd size problem. You mentioned 40,000 fans on Chatrier. That's impossible. Court Philippe Chatrier seats around 15,000 spectators. 2. Cristiano Ronaldo appearing courtside and applauding would be massive international news. Unless verified, this weakens trust instantly. 3. 80 million views. Claims like viewed over 80 million times need proof. Big numbers without sourcing make viewers suspicious. 4. Over-explaining emotions. Lines like, not because of ranking points, not because of prize money, can feel repetitive. You already made the point emotionally. 5. The dialogue sounds scripted. Example, "We did it, mama. We did it together." This sounds cinematic unless quoted from an interview. Biggest improvement suggestion: you're telling the audience what to feel too often. Instead of, "The victory meant more than the scoreboard." Show it. Long after the handshake, thousands stayed in their seats, waving Philippine flags while Eala stood motionless near the baseline. That feels more real and more emotional. Retention score for YouTube, 8. 7 out of 10 for watchability, 4. 5 out of 10 for credibility. If your audience likes emotional sports storytelling, it can perform well. But if viewers start fact-checking, comments may turn into, "This didn't happen." 4. Long-term channel growth. The best formula is 80% verified reality plus 20% cinematic storytelling, not the other way around. A stronger, believable viral title. Alex Eala refused to quit, crying face, the Roland Garros moment fans will never forget, or caught on camera. Alex Eala's emotional French Open comeback had Paris frozen. Read an unexpected moment. A Filipina nurse named Grace, who had saved for months to attend the match, crying in the stands. Her tears of fear became tears of pride when Eala stood up. The footage has been viewed over 80 million times. Grace later said, "That's our Alex. That's our fighter." Eala's victory sets up a third-round showdown with a higher-ranked opponent. Her ranking is projected to rise to number 32. The moment she stood up from the clay has become the defining image of the French Open.